A little close. I like this a little close. Good morning. Today's video is not brought to you by a different sponsor than usual. If that's enough of a hint. Um, so yesterday, the sun transited into Virgo. Also, apparently yesterday, Mercury went retrograde in Virgo, which is interesting because when the sun transited into Leo in the same day, Venus retrograded Leo. Now, when the sun goes into Libra, I don't know what'll happen. Because I think everything that's going to be retrograde is going to be retrograde after Uranus. Because everything else is already retrograde, right? Oh, wait, I had the right phone. There's a retrograde calendar on Astro Matrix. So I'm just going to do the thing that I do for when the sun transits and other things. And we're going to see. We are going to see stuff. There we go. So, Jupiter is going to retrograde Taurus after that in 2 weeks. September 4th, Jupiter retrogrades Taurus. What's going direct? September 3rd, Venus goes direct, so that's after Labor Day weekend. And then on the 15th, Mercury will go direct. So Jupiter goes direct September 4th. Jupiter stations retrograde September 4th, which is the day after Venus stations direct on September 3rd. So then that will break the square because Venus will prograde into Libra. Excuse me. So anyway. That was my phone wanting to not extremely undelicately embrace the floor. So I have the Mausolea Oracle of Souls. I also have the Witch's Tarot and the Spencer's Tarot. I wanted to use the Witch's Tarot because I haven't used it in a minute, and it's one of my favorite decks, which is almost funny because it's one of the ones I connected to the least. Like, it took me so long to connect. That's probably I was gonna say that's probably the deck that I like to use fairly often. That's taken me the longest to connect to. But it was also like my third deck. I am going to end up using the Spencer's Tarot cards, though. And I'm going to get 3 cards, I guess, for... Am I doing this? No. Yes, no. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get 1 card for Sun in Leo. A card for the first thing that Sun in Virgo is bringing, and then a card for Sun in Virgo, just sort of overall in general. Then I'm going to go into the Witch's Tarot, and I'm going to pull before and after Sun in Leo and Sun in Virgo. Like, whatever card comes out, I'm going to pull before and after that card in here. And that'll give me the 3 cards, the 1 card, and the 3 cards. And look who's at the bottom of the deck. Excuse me. If you would have guessed the Page of Pentacles that Mercury kept popping out in the retrograde, then you'd be correct. Because apparently that's the vibe right now. Apparently that's the energy. Page of Pentacles, Four of Wands, and the Six of Swords were the last three cards that I got last time I used this deck. I'm going to give this a few shuffles. Hopefully this will be like 50. Well, hopefully I'm off by 8 o'clock. And I can go to sleep. And hopefully I sleep all the way until it's time for me to wake up. Ooh, shuffling some nice. Oh, look. Virgo, Hermit, Page of Pentacles still. I feel like this deck is like, you sure you don't want to just use me? Like, yeah, I'm sure. The Page of Pentacles was at the cut that whole time. And then it was the Page of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands. And then it was the Ace of Wands with the Eight of Pentacles. And that could be finding work worth doing, or work that's fulfilling enough for us to get some kind of... I've never noticed how interestingly similar these card backs are. You know? Like, it feels like there's a similar themology. Is that a word? Themology? Ophthalmology. Like a person who's an ophthalmologist. All right. Ooh, the Empress and the Four of Cups. But the Empress is Kali in this deck. Kali Ma. Then we have the Devil with the Empress. And then we have the Ace of Swords with the Devil. And then we have the Five of Pentacles with that Ace of Swords. So the bottom over here is not very sticky. Then we have the Queen of Swords with the Five of Pentacles. Yeah, the bottom over here is not sticky at all. And then we have the Nine of Pentacles with the Queen of Swords. There we go, finally. Somebody sticks. So, one card for Sun in Leo. Sun in Leo is the Chariot, which is the Centaur. This, I just saw something on the internet, and I was like, oh, I should do something with that. But I was like, no, I'm not gonna. And here it is. No. Was it this? No, it wasn't that. Yeah, here it is. No. So I saw this. Who is this? Dark Canova on Twitter. And it was like biomechanical centaur night. And I was like, oh, biomechanical centaur night. Maybe I could like do something with that. I was like, what would I do with biomechanical centaur night? And then I was like, you know, you like to do that thing quite often when you're like, oh, I was browsing the internet the other day and I saw this thing. There's a centaur. Happened. I don't have a biomechanical deck, even though I do have the Science Tarot. So, maybe that makes sense. That Five of Cups, I think it's the Five of Cups, was coming out in the Science Tarot quite frequently. So, excuse me, the Chariot was Leo season. The Chariot is all about, typically, it's all about balancing forces. And balancing forces, harnessing forward momentum, and moving forward victoriously, right? Now, because this one is the Centaur, and this might have come up for somebody, it might not have. It's reading very like balancing the instinctual and the intuitive, the primal and the primal / primitive and the prim and proper. There you go. Like all of the forces that the Centaur has to balance are internal, but the Centaur is its own vehicle at the same time. Cute. What is the first thing that Virgo season is going to bring? Sun in Virgo. The very first thing. I'm going to start shuffling like this. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're done. We're done. I got the one. I might have gotten two, actually. Yeah, because one flipped over. Oh, no, no. No. This The first thing that Sun in Virgo is bringing is the ghost, which is hilarious because as the sun entered Virgo, Mercury retrograde. First thing, ghost from the past. I went back to dubstep. I don't have that deck anymore. This makes me think of the Eight of Cups in the Abyss Tarot. See, I feel like that's usually how it works. I'll gift somebody a deck and I'll be like, oh, I rarely use it. Like I never use it. So it's fine. And then the energies from that deck will start popping up. And I'll be like, oh, I don't even have it anymore. I wonder if now it's gonna like bring the person to my mind that has that deck. I don't know. The second card that came out is the Four of Wands, the fairy. The Two of Swords and the Four of Wands are the first two energies. Well, I asked for the first energy, so I don't know if it's two. This is interesting because it's almost like this would be in a very specific context. So not like take it as it resonates always. Use your own intuition, discernment, guidance, wisdom, all of that stuff. Like I hear some readers talk about the comments they get, and I'm like, I wish somebody would. Maybe it's because folks know I don't care. Maybe it's because my audience is small enough. I'm like, oh, you peeps, like you're cool, you know? I got that one comment that one time. And I was like, okay, so I'm not for you and you're not for me. That's fine. Move on. But anyway, in this specific context, it's like this feels like the reappearance of something old. And this feels like something magical, new, and whimsical. But it's like an either or. It's like, do we settle for ghosts of the past or do we move forward into the new magical future? Now, the ghost of the past is a lot more certain than this because like it's happening at night. It's not even a full moon. There's a fairy here. There are these flowers that are blossoming in the nighttime, which I might have seen actually recently. Or maybe it was like a relative of the morning glory. The flowers that open up in the daytime and close at night. But yeah, because of that, it doesn't necessarily feel as certain. It feels a lot better, but the ghost of the past is like more guaranteed. I mean, guaranteed to probably the same wreck that it was before, but you know, it's there. So maybe not necessarily the time to be lonely or to feel alone as certain things are resurfacing. Now, certain things could also be resurfacing. Like this could be a game of Scooby-Doo in another context where there's something that represents itself in a certain type of way, but when you pull the sheet off, it's actually this fairy. And in the night, like someone had a dark night of the soul, and in that dark night of the soul, they learned vulnerability and all of this other stuff, and they've been healing and doing this and doing that, or like there's a company that used to be crummy and they've like gone through new management, and new management is actually like pretty terrific or something like that, right? So that's why you always take it as it resonates and how you feel it and how your intuition and discernment is leading you and guiding you to make choices and decisions in your life, or how your intuition is providing information for you to make informed choices and decisions in your own life. Because it could also be Scooby-Doo. Like it could be a wish or a dream or a goal that you had for some time and you didn't think it'd work out or whatever, and then all of a sudden it does. And that one gets no clarification. So for Virgo season overall, for oh snap! Oh nope, I'll take it. So the one card that came out is the Sun, and it's the Phoenix. So the Phoenix kind of does support the reading of, I guess, either way. Because whether this is, well, I guess that the first one was a question. Do you choose the more certain ghost of the past because you don't want to X or you do want to Y? Do you go for the more uncertain, but very much so better? Is it too good to be true? Z? Or is it like as something comes back, it reveals itself to have changed and to be a lot more now than it may have been before, to be a lot more possible, to be a lot more positive, to be more whatever. And then we come into this, Phoenix energy with the Sun, which is gorgeous. So we go from Leo season giving us, oh, that's another. These energies are one step behind. Leo season gave the Chariot, which is associated with Cancer. Virgo season is given the Sun, which is associated with Leo. But just from the Chariot to the Sun is gorgeous energy. And then the second card that came out is the Bruni. And I just saw the Bruni when I used the Mythical Creatures Tarot last time. And I pulled this deck to show you. And here's the card again. The Three of Wands. Cute. All right. Bottom of the deck is Temperance, which is a sea nymph. See, this is some like behind the scenes type stuff. Oh my gosh, is that not the card back? And I pointed it out today. That's weird. Are these not the card backs? You see these like starry skies or whatever, and these two in particular? Interesting. Something's been temperate in that space. The King of Cups orc is behind. Oof, not the Five of Pentacles. Here's that Five of Pentacles. I saw the Five of Pentacles at the cut, right? In this deck. And then here's the Hanged Man. That was at the top of the deck. I'm actually going to look for the Five of Pentacles real quick. Just because I'm pretty sure I saw it. Or maybe it was the other deck. No, I don't think so. No, I didn't see the Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles is the Shaman. So it must have been either in the other deck or it must have been another card. Oh, snap. Okay. So at first, this was almost like a cleaning house type of energy, but you see that right there? The flames here are very sun-esque. Look at that. Look how similar they are. That's where the pot is. So this is low-key giving me some like alchemical vibes, like alchemy, but like instead of it being a burner or a log fire or whatever, it uses the sun as the source of heat. Now, this is interesting because, well, I guess it's fair because of temperance and this wish granted magical energy happening at night. This is the entrance. Well, this is the entrance into Virgo season. But Virgo season as a whole, it's about bringing all of that to the light so that we can see it, witness it, experience it with that sun energy. And maybe because this King of Cups orc is behind temperance and there's all this water stuff happening too at night. It's interesting. Very, very interesting. This Virgo season is going to be one for the books. This Virgo season has been rough so far. It's been the work has been rough. But I realized last night / this morning / a few hours ago, I was like, oh, the reason why my first few rotations seemed so easy is because I was covering the weekend. And the weekend is a lot less active than the weekdays, typically. So I was getting it easy when I was working the weekend. Now I'm like, take me back. Okay. So I'm going to shuffle this in between everyone for I guess I'll do both. I'll do the sun on one side and I'll do the Bruni. I keep saying bronies. And the Bruni on the other. Boom. We're going to start bottom. I'm going to pull from the bottom of the deck. We have the Five of Pentacles, the Emperor, and the Wheel of the Year. Back turn to the Five of Pentacles, facing the Wheel of the Year. Cool, cute. And then after that Wheel of the Year is the Sun. Wait, this is interesting because in Prophecy 1, it was reading as Virgo season to Virgo season. In Prophecy 1, the Page of Earth, Page of Pentacles, oh my gosh. The Messenger of Earth had become the Page of Pentacles had become the Knight of Pentacles before the Sun had even re-entered Virgo. Because that was in the middle of Leo season. It was recently-ish. Wasn't too long ago. Maybe a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago. And now that this Virgo season is actually starting, this was giving me to those vibes of Saturn and Sagittarius, Sun and Capricorn. Because the work was done when the work was done, now as the Sun is transiting, it's going to highlight and show the fruits of labors, or we're going to be able to see the fact that whatever work was done, rather than necessarily or not necessarily, rather than potentially having the experience where we go, oh, like this is why I should have done all of that stuff that my intuition was telling me to do. Because now I'm in this situation. But it's like with the Sun, either way, it's revealed and it's highlighted and illuminated. So interesting. Looking for the Chariot. Ooh. That was the Six of Pentacles. Yeah. Oh, here's the Chariot right here. Oof. Oof. Another 5. So it's Karma, the Chariot, and the 5 of Swords. Oh, look at the Chariot in this deck. Same starry moon. Starry moonlit. Well, it's night and daytime, I guess. Interesting. Karma. Oof. Karma and the Five of Swords. This is an interesting pair. It's given like butterfly effect type energy. Because it's like if those five swords pierce this dragonfly looking thing, then the karma is that like the dragonfly isn't there to do dragonflies pollinate stuff? I don't know. The dragonfly isn't there to pollinate a specific flower that catches the attention of this one person who then notices something else, and there's this whole domino chain of effect. But it's like it's all started with that butterfly, with that dragonfly. And so when you remove the dragonfly, there's this like whole series of things that doesn't happen. Or there's an alternate series of things that do. And karma is just like how that alternate timeline sort of plays out. Or what happens as a result of that. I've mentioned it before, but it makes me think of that one episode of Doctor Who where like the witch lady person, whoever, they put a beetle on Donna's back and they get her to turn left instead of turning right, or to turn right instead of turning left. And so she goes on a journey with the doctor, and along the way, she comes into her own. But without that, it's like she continues to like not believe in herself and put herself down and not go after the things that she wants. And because she doesn't, it's like meeting the doctor was a lucky break for her, right? And it led to so many opportunities for her to, honestly, it's like, because for a lot of people, the doctor can kind of sort of be this like larger than life, very wise, very smart, very whatever type of person. And it makes me feel like it's also, well, I guess there is that exchange. But it just makes me think of anyone that like, it's like, you know, when you stand next to this person, then you feel like not insignificant, but it's like you realize, like earlier today, I was at work and somebody was like, yeah, when I stand next to Patrick, like I feel super short. And then I was like, yeah, well, you know, because there's this guy that's like, they call him 6'9" because he's like real tall. And I was like, yeah, well, when I stand next to him, I feel short too, right? But it's like, it's that comparative thing. But what was interesting about her is that she came into her own, where she developed a confidence in herself because of the situations that she was put in. She also, I'm pretty sure, found him when he was at a low point in his life because of what had previously happened to him. So they ended up helping each other. But like, that's the thing that's a little interesting, or it's a little different, is that, again, like she came into herself. And because she came into herself, it's almost like she didn't develop the same dynamic with the doctor that some of the other companions did, where he becomes this like person that they kind of sort of idolize and romanticize because he is who he is, and because he shows them all that he shows them, and with his TARDIS and stuff, they can go wherever or do whatever. And it's like, you know, who wouldn't fall for somebody who can do all that, you know? But again, something about Donna was different. But karma would have been like in the alternate timeline universe where she turned the direction that she didn't turn, where she missed out on the doctor, where they didn't meet that second time, I think. She didn't go on all those adventures. She didn't experience all of those things that made her see the things that she can love and value and appreciate about herself. And so she just sort of stayed where she was. It's almost like this temperance that's happening in the darkness, like never happened. So she just like stayed there. in the dark. So now I'm going to shuffle these up a few times. I'm going to pull before and after the sun. And then I am going to shuffle it up and pull before and after the Three of Wands. Excuse me. Woo, 728. All right, from the bottom of the deck, we have the Tower, the Ten of Wands, and the Shadow side. This is interesting. And then the Hanged Man, right after that, Shadow side. Clarifying the sun now. What's interesting about this is it almost reads as a little bit of what Leo had in their 4 steps of transformation. But it's like something is transpiring or something is going to transpire since it's in for Virgo season that's going to free us of a lot of things, or it has the potential to. And maybe again, it's part of the illumination, the power of illumination of the sun. And then the Phoenix is here. So it's like there's this opportunity for rebirth, but with the Shadow side and the Hanged Man coming out after that, it's almost like we don't take it. Like at that point, it's almost like to not be transformed would be a choice. And that's because of whatever that shadow side energy is. It's like we just can't see past it, or we can't accept it. This is interesting. So, okay. I'm going to go back here. See, there's this this back and forth type energy. Now I got to build up to it. So like there's this Two of Swords and the Four of Wands. And then there's this Nine of Wands. Because at first it was like Four of Wands, Nine of Wands. But there's also, maybe this Two of Swords is just like us. Oh, look, there's that moon again. But there's the sun and the moon technically in this deck because it's daytime and the moon is out. Very temperance, very temperance. Maybe this is us trying to temperance, but being more in our head or thinking more about temperancing than actually tempering. I mean, the Chariot was the last season, and this ain't necessarily Chariot energy. It's not necessarily not Chariot energy either, but. So there's this Four of Wands, which is like togetherness. And then there's that Nine of Wands, which is typically depicted as separate. Also completely different vibes. This is celebration. The Nine of Wands is like been stationed at the post for far too long, weary, like the wounded warrior typically. In this deck, she's one of my favorite Nine of Wands is because she can go all day. But again, this like I can go all day. I can keep doing this ad infinitum energy could be why like that Tower comes to try to get that Ten of Wands to drop the burdens. But with that shadow side and the Hanged Man, it's almost like the Ten of Wands is too used to it, too accustomed to it, too patterned to do anything differently. So after this little interesting duo of the Four of Wands with the Nine of Wands, we get the Ace of Cups, which is overflowing, and this Four of Pentacles, which is like stingy, miserly, not open to exchange at all. So again, like these two contrasting, these two different energies. But this is the thing that like caught my attention as I was flipping through the cards. Is we get the King of Pentacles, the Six of Pentacles, and the Queen of Pentacles. So maybe with the Six of Pentacles in between these two, it'll be almost like a little Libric energy or Libraean energy, an energy that's like Libra of like balance. Because maybe like, sometimes it'll be Ace of Cups, sometimes it'll be Four of Pentacles, sometimes it'll be Nine of Wands, sometimes it'll be Four of Wands. Is it situational? That would be a little bit more implied by the first way I interpreted the ghost and the fairy. Of like either we choose the ghost and we go back to the past and we settle, or we choose the fairy and we move forward into this bright, brilliant, but still yet unknown future. We can't necessarily choose both because of how separate those experiences are. But this is almost like it's learning to ease into it. That pendulum doesn't feel like it swings too extreme with the Six of Pentacles. But it'd also be like a realization or recognition type of energy. Like you realize that it's safe to give a little bit in a situation, or you realize that you can afford to be a little vulnerable. And then when that is honored and maybe returned, reciprocated with the Six of Pentacles, then you open up more and more and more. It becomes a gradual process rather than something that we got to do all at once overnight. Y'all hear that? All the liquid is gone. Oh, there's our Three of Wands. So right after this Queen of Wands, right after the Queen of Pentacles, is the Queen of Wands, the Three of Wands, and the Page of Cups. But I'm not looking for the Three of Wands yet, so disregard. Still looking for the Sun. Do. Wouldn't it be hilarious if the Sun isn't even in this deck? Here's the Sun. Oh no. The Eight of Swords. Well, I guess it's not necessarily terrible. The Eight of Swords, the Sun, and the Three of Pentacles. Lots of threes today. So this could be the reason why I was like, maybe it's not necessarily bad, is because next to this Judgment, Phoenix, or next to the Sun, sorry. Next to the Sun, Phoenix, Resurrection energy, it's like seeing things that we weren't potentially, seeing things that we weren't necessarily able to see before. The Sun is the illuminator, so it's like it doesn't matter if the blindfold is on. It's like that's not a what do you call them? Blackout. It's not a blackout blindfold. It's like some white cloth. If it were a blackout blindfold, if it were like eclipse glasses, that's one thing. But even with eclipse glasses, you can still see the Sun. But because the Three of Pentacles is on the other side, it's like through this process of rebirth, being in a position to work with things that we weren't necessarily able to before. Because maybe now we see it in a different way, or because it could be about worth and value, self-worth and self-value, because of Donna Noble and the beetle on her back and this karma. It's like because of the experiences that we have, and because we've risen to the challenge or to the occasion, we now see ourselves as capable of a lot more. We're a lot more daring. We're a lot more comfortable. We're a lot more whatever. So now when some of these things come our way through this rebirth transformation process of the Phoenix, oh, look, and then there's the fire in the candle. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So maybe this is like because he's like, or the person is looking into the fire as they're writing. It's almost like recalling experiences of the past. And it's like, oh, well, if I can do this and if I can do that, then I can do this too. Or I'll at least show up, I'll at least listen, I'll hear it out, and then make a judgment rather than fall into a previous mindset or way of thinking. Oh, look, I didn't even notice the King of Wands was before it. So the King of Wands is here. It would have been the King of Wands, the Eight of Swords, and the Sun. But the Queen of Wands it could still, depending on how well it shuffles. Because the Queen of Wands was on the other side of the Three of Wands. And then the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles were separated by that. It was the Eight of Pentacles. That's the card I saw. The Queen of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles were separated by the Six of Pentacles. But at the cut, it was the Ace of Wands with the Eight of Pentacles. And it was like, I read it as like finding, oh, there's that Page of Pentacles on the other side. That's our window. It was finding like enjoyment or fulfillment through work or something like that. Where the Eight of Pentacles was like fun and exciting rather than it being like dull and dreary, because it also came out with that Ace of Wands. Like it didn't feel like this or that. But at the same time, it's like, when, I don't know, I think it's like, you don't have to have ADHD, obviously. But I saw a clip of Elise something, a YouTube reel, and she was talking about how, like, with her ADHD, how she'll hyperfixate on something. And it's almost like that energy. It's being like so enraptured by something, so impassioned by something that you can go and look at like 10 TED Talks, read 25 WikiHows, watch tutorials, like do all of this learning. And it's like it's fun or it's engaging because you care about, or because the subject matter has some kind of grip on a passion of yours or something like that. So you do the work, you invest in the research, and you do all that stuff, and it doesn't feel like a task or a chore. That's that energy. So, oh, it's the world. Okay. I just saw the Seven of Swords. The Page of Pentacles and the Seven of Swords have an interesting dynamic in this deck. I've talked about it often enough. It didn't come out, so I don't have to talk about it. Death, Temperance, and the King of Cups. Temperance and the King of Cups. Temperance and the King of Cups. Interesting. But death comes out first, which is that transformation, which is that rebirth. Also got a flaming head. I just saw another clip on Twitter when I was scrolling before I hit the biomechanical centaur night. It was an animated clip of Deadpool versus Ghost Rider. And that's giving me Ghost Rider energy. That's why I mentioned it. Death, Temperance. 13, 14, King of Cups. The King of Cups is also the 14th in his suit. Pages are 11, Knights 12, Queens 13, Kings 14. It feels like an increase in understanding and patience. It's feeling more understanding and patience than vulnerability, but it's like vulnerability is a natural part of that. I also wonder, well, the Page of Cups was just at the cut, or was the Page of Cups behind the King of Wands? No, King of Wands, Page of Cups, right? Or was it King of Wands, Page of Pentacles? Where was the Page of Cups? It was the Queen of Wands, the Three of Wands, and the Page of Cups. That's where the Page of Cups was. Because the King of Cups is right here. So I was like, whoa. You know what I mean? It's also interesting, though, that we get this sun and rainbow temperance on one side and then this moon temperance on the other side. I think this is low-key taking me back to the Chariot and how the Chariot is a balancing of two often unaligned forces. Like one wants to go left, one wants to go right. But it's like this is happening both in the daytime and at night. So it's like there's this healing that happened on the inner self, and then there's the healing that happened on the outer self. Because sometimes there may be not a lag, but a bit of a discrepancy between like who we heal ourselves to be on the inside, like behind closed doors, away from the world, and like the person that we are out in the world with other people living our day-to-day life, like the moon self and then the sun self, the internal and the external self. And there is eclipse in this karma card, so that could be a merging of both selves as well. So then death could be in that context, especially the blurring of that boundary. Like it's blurring life and death, but it's like it's blurring the internal and the external. I don't know. And then the Emperor and the Lovers and the Ace of Swords and the Three of Wands. Oh, there's our Three of Wands. I found it. It's still with the Queen of Wands, but that Page of Cups is gone. The Emperor, the Lovers, Ace of Swords, Three of Wands, and Queen of Wands. Cool. So Ace of Swords first, and then the Queen of Wands. Two of Pentacles and the Lovers. See, Two of Pentacles is like, this is like, it's both with the Lovers, or there's a balance between them with the Lovers, rather than it being either or with the Two of Pentacles. Five of Wands is behind that Two of Pentacles. I was just curious to see what was behind the Two of Pentacles. That's the Five of Wands. This one's got dragons. Ooh. Okay. 15 minutes. So, I mean, I read this as I went along. So the Ace of, I don't even remember what the brownie was about. Dedication and hard work and continuing to work even if there isn't a reward that is perceivable or noticeable. Good morning. Oh my gosh, I was going to do something else this morning. I was going to do something else and I just saw you and it reminded me. I was going to go live on the other channel and I was like, the only person I'd see might be Eve. But I went live on this channel and the only person that I see is Eve. So I hope you have a better day at work today than I've been having lately. I mean, regardless, I hope you have an amazing day at work. Drive safe. Yeah, good morning. Also, I looked at those 3 bottles of wine for the 3 prophecies. I don't know if I'll do it before I go to sleep tomorrow or if I'll do it after I wake up. Do I want to drink 3 shots before I go to sleep? Or after I wake up? I don't know. We'll see. But the Bruni was about dedication, hard work, and continuing to work even if we don't see an immediate reward, which is playing a little bit on that Eight of Pentacles, Ace of Wands that I was just talking about. It's like the doing the work is reward enough for the work being done. It's fulfilling. Oh. Different but similar. See how like these 5 swords are pointed at the flying thing, and this one sword, like the flying thing, is behind the one sword here. Interesting. Interesting. Why is it interesting? Because in this one, like with the mountain, it also looks like it's landing or it's closer to the land than all of this airy fairy. There are fairies on here, by the way, too. Um, it's also interesting that typically a sword point. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. Woo, because it's like the retrograde part ain't rough yet, at least for me, but work has been like, oh my gosh. But again, I've been working throughout the work week rather than working on the weekend. And on the work week, it's typically a lot more lax because there's less stuff running. So, to be fair, but anyway, I mean, like, I'm a rooster. This year is supposed to be I think rooster has the worst luck for this year, all around the board. And I was like, huh, watch me make this year my year. Watch me do it anyway. Off to a decent start. But it might be, what? Is it because the sun opposed Saturn retrograde in the beginning and then opposed Neptune retrograde at the end? Mercury retrograde opposing. I don't know. I feel like I haven't necessarily seen too much about it either. I don't think I have actually. I got a notification on my phone. that's my astrology now. That's how I keep up with it. Notifications on my phone. Sun transited into Virgo. Mercury retrograde Virgo. I was like, oh. So when I was gonna say it's interesting that typically a sword point up is offensive and a sword pointed down is not. But here it's the opposite. The downward pointing swords are actually more offensive or on the offense or ready to attack than this one that's pointed upwards. Honestly, though, I feel like there's another layer to this that's like Karma and the Five of Swords around that chariot could also be a burden of knowledge. And it feels like knowledge is more burdensome when it's not used and utilized. So for trust for 2024. Woo. I don't know if my year is breakdown like that. I don't know if I ever paid attention. Excuse me. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, this Three of Pentacles brownie, like the dedication of the brownie, it gives all of this knowledge and all of this knowing context, and then it creates the Queen of Wands. Oh, the King of Wands is gone. The King of Wands is gone. Look at the fire behind the Queen of Wands. I was gonna try to compare it to the King of Wands. We don't need to make comparisons. It's fine. She has all this fire behind her throne, very much so giving me Phoenix energy. Because of the fires behind the Phoenix, but also the fires on the pot in the burning. I almost pulled the Wild Unknown Alchemy. I was like, Virgo season. What's Virgonian energy? Do I have a Virgo deck? I gotta use the Not the dreams of Gaia. I'm seeing like some cards from the dreams of Gaia, but not the deck as a whole. I feel like there's another, like the mystical shaman, maybe. I mean, Virgos can do alchemy too. Oh, Virgo in the lab is probably actually pretty nice. The Queen of Wands is also magical AF, but her magic comes from inside. This is like soul magic. Soul magic ain't nothing fancy. It's just like, again, it plays into that Donna Noble, like, I mean, not even, like the Dr. Donna, not even included. Um, it's how she became like so confident within herself that by the end of her time with the doctor, she was doing things in ways that, like, she was always doing stuff. She started doing stuff. But even when she was doing stuff in the beginning, she still felt some type of way about herself. But by the end, it's like the confidence and everything that she brought to it, like, it's just like it radiates from the inside out. That's it. Somebody got the Ace of Swords. I don't remember who. In the 4 steps of transformation as part of the elucidation. I almost want to say it was Cancer. Almost. Because I was like, oh, well, if you want elucidation, it doesn't get more elucidating than like the Ace of Swords, besides maybe like the Sun. But the Ace of Swords also came out as that like repository of truth. And because there's so much truth, there's so many truths that are stored in the Ace of Swords, it's almost like if you don't know which one you're looking for, you can be just as lost as you were before the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords could be like when you get the answer to a question that you don't even know, like, that you're asking, or you get an answer to a question that you haven't even asked. And so you get the answer, and then you think it's the answer to a question that you do know, or a question that you did ask. And it might turn out that it isn't necessarily. But it's just like, it's almost sometimes it's just like information. How does it apply? How does it fit into our lives? What does it mean specifically and exactly? What are the implications of that information? Apply it, use it, find out. Who knows? Like in its totality. Within a specific context, the Ace of Swords could also be like, this is your answer, but just in general. I am actually going to grab a Wild Unknown Alchemy card because that's what the brownie is doing in the kitchen. I don't even know if it's almost like because the brownie is, oh, look, there's the candle. There's a candle too. It's almost like because the brownie is washing the dishes, it's like it's getting the tools ready. Right. I'm assuming the brownie is cooking on that. You put the food on a plate and then you eat it off of the plate. So it's preparing the tools. Excuse me. Oh, I'm ready for bed. 7:57. Got 3 minutes. Okay. This is going to be a little longer than I wanted it to be, but that's fine. I'll get final cards after this. I'll just read it. So I'm not going to pull an alchemy card and then do a final card on the alchemy card. Yeah, it's just like it's because of who the Queen of Wands knows herself to be. And it's because of Leo season. It feels like it's something that actually, like, it came before Leo season. because Leo season was aligning them. It was putting everything together. It was a little bit of trial and error. Leo season could have come with its fair share of karma, beginnings, endings, lessons. And again, it was the Tower, the Ten of Wands, and the shadow side with the Hanged Man. It's like a lesson learned does not need to be repeated. Especially if there's no attachment to, or if there's no strong pattern that it's still like persisting. Yeah. Because sometimes we learn, but we're just like in a pattern or in a habit. So we do it by default, or we don't know of any other way to do it. So we just keep doing it in that way. So I'm not saying that the first thing that Virgo season is going to ask us to do is like pick a side. Because again, it could be any of those things. And it doesn't feel like Leo season didn't accomplish anything. But it's like Leo season really laid the foundation and set it in a way that in Virgo season things could take off. It's like seeing things, noticing things that we never did before. Like when problems or situation arise, considering things that we've like, and like with this Eight of Swords, it's like it's things that we would have never even considered, or things that we would have never even thought to do. Excuse me, maybe things that we didn't even know was possible until recently. Like how I just found out that you can crop sources in OBS. So now I can, like, if I wanted to just crop here, I could do it without trying to like blow up the video and then like move it so that that's the only thing you see. Right? All right. What is this brownie alchemy? What's brewing on the kettle? What's brewing on the pipes? Oh, it almost, there we go. Oof, well. No. Ooh, wow. Wow. Bottom of the deck is Xanthosis yellowing. Leucosis whitening was at the top of it was like one of the final cards I got last time. It was Leucosis and Quicksilver. Is that 14? Is XIV 14? Is that literally our temperance energy? With that yellow moon behind her and then this yellowing here. But the yellowing of the moon also makes it feel like it's like becoming a sun. Or it's like it's blending with that solar energy. Behind Leucosis, or behind Xanthosis yellowing, is gold. Becoming golden. Ooh, that's the point, right? It's to turn the metal into gold. So if you want something to turn gold, it'll probably get a little yellow, right? Maybe. Gold is number 26. Let's read the book. Oh, the card that came out, it's number 32. You didn't even get to see it. It's Fumus, smoke. This is what's happening in that cauldron. Smoke. Smoke is feeling very like nebulous, feeling very like fog. Could be Neptune. When is the sun gonna oppose Neptune? I'm not too sure. But I got this app where I can, turn on low power mode. I got 20% battery. I got this app where I can move the slider. I'm actually going to go to dashboard. No. Summary. That's where I'm going to go. And I'm going to... Yeah, I was like, hold up. Tomorrow is not the full moon. Let's go to September. I mean, it's pretty late. Maybe I should have just went to the thing instead. Sun opposed Neptune is Tuesday, September 19th. So let's go to September 19th. And let's go to the chart. So, Venus will be direct. The sun will be 26 Virgo. Neptune will be 26 Pisces. Saturn will be 2 Pisces, both retrograde. Pluto will be 27 Capricorn, which means that it'll be in 2-degree orb with the nodes square because they're like at 25. Moon will be 20 degrees Scorpio at this particular time that I'm looking at. Mars will be heading for the south node at 15 degrees Libra. Mercury will be 9 degrees Virgo, direct. So it's not going to be super opposed Saturn because it'll be like 7-degree orb. Saturn is at 2 degrees, Mercury is at 9 degrees. Venus will be Venus at 16 Leo, Juno at 17 Leo. So yeah. What was I looking for that for? Excuse me, I don't remember. Smoke, Neptune, fog, that's why. I'll read it. Humus, number 32. Ooh, not Kenneth, not Ash, not 33. Fumus, smoke, smoldering, warning, and illusion. Smoke is a tantalizing phenomenon, stealth-like and seductive. It swirls and twists, rising and disappearing. It travels great lengths with its signature scent, warning of a flame somewhere in life's laboratory. Such is the nature of the smoke card. When present, the senses are aroused and enticed, yet the warning of fire cannot be ignored. What kind of smoke is it? Was the fire intended, a ritual, or an accident? Does the smoke carry notes of incense and herbs, or is it laced with a fear-stricken scent of destruction? The smoke card asks us to wake up, to become alert to what is happening around us. Something burns. Those around you may fall under smoke seduction, or they may flee in a panic. Don't get distracted by the response. Stay in your own laboratory and see what emerges as you study the smoldering veil. So on one side, we got the smoke card may be a measure, maybe a message to clear the air with another person. Take a few deep breaths and say what's on your mind. Mercury retrograde? Why not? All right, see you, Eve. Thanks again for stopping by, and I hope so too. I really, 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 really hope so as well. The image of smoke in mirrors applies. Don't be surprised if things aren't what they seem. Have patience and pause on major decisions. Have patience. Did somebody say temperance, 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 temperance? I'm actually going to grab one more deck because it mentioned the mirrors. I'm going to pull before and after the, oh, come on. Before the mirror archetype. See how I make these like longer and longer and longer. I'm already 7 minutes over. I was just 3 minutes under. That's fine. I am going to shuffle it though, because I had these separated into archetypes of person, place, and thing. Do 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 do. So yeah, the smoke is obscuring again. It's personal. Could be your personal power, right? I think I don't know if I necessarily, I feel like is a strong word to describe how I feel. I'm interested. I am intrigued about the smoke and mirrors. I guess I could have also pulled before and after the smoky mirror, since I did mention the mystical shaman oracle cards as a potential Virgo deck, but I'll stay on brand with Kim Crayons. Come on, shuffle. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Shuffle. There we go. Somewhat. Give these a. Oh, we're not taking jumpers. That's not what we're doing unless you're the mirror. In which case, feel free. Cut it right there. It's the one. The only. Queen of Wands. The Sun. We got the womb. We got the tear. Anima Mundi. The vessel. Okay, we're looking for the mirror. I ain't gotta name all these. Gotta get to bed, so gotta get to sleep. Man, I feel like all the tarot came out fairly close to the bottom of the deck. Oh, of course. Of course it is. Oh, well. Interesting. Okay, fine. The shadow and the ring are, and then the shapeshifter is behind that. The shadow and the ring are here, which is interesting because, why is it interesting? Because of the chariot energy, because of the balance of forces, because of the lovers instead of the two of pentacles, because of cooperation instead of competition. It's just reading as like they're not separate, like they're entwined. The shadow and the light, or the non-shadow, the light and the dark of ourselves, our internal self and our external persona. Now, the cards that came out before and after the mirror, it's number 62 and number 53. Oh, 8. 6 plus 2 is 8. 5 plus 3 is 8. The mirror is number 68. It's the sword and the riddle and the sword, which is hilarious because of this Ace of Swords with the Queen of Wands and the brownie 3 of Wands. Oh, the Queen of Wands has 1 wand, plus the 3 of Wands is 4 wands. 4 wands is also the fairy. Queen of the fairies is Titania, if you're curious. But anyway, I was like, oh, the sword, that's interesting. It almost feels like the riddle of the sword may be related to this. How the sword that's pointed upright isn't in attack mode, and the 5 swords that are pointed downwards are. Honestly, that could be a little bit of a commentary on like being the bystander effect type of thing, almost. Maybe. Could be. Doesn't necessarily have to be. Because the Ace of Swords upright came out with the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands is definitely one to speak her mind. But it's almost like if something is said and communicated, then it can be fixed. It can be addressed, handled, addressed, and worked through. Resolution can be born from that. But if we just continue to carry things in silence, it's like going back to that Ten of Wands almost too. It's like it doesn't matter how passive or peace, whatever you want to be, to not say anything, no matter how many swords there are. In some cases, situations and scenarios is to not allow for change. And so that situation actually waxes more and more burdensome and chaotic and undesirable, rather than the one that may risk a little bit of confrontation because something is said or mentioned. And we are going to Virgo season. Virgo can be one of them signs that'll let themselves be overburdened. Believe it or not. I guess it depends. It depends on the person. And it depends on the situation. Because Virgo can also be one of those signs to let you know what they're thinking and what's on their mind. Virgos can hurt feelings. Virgos can spare feelings. They like Geminis. I'm kidding. They're both ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the Quicksilver that was at the bottom of the deck with the whitening. Leucosis. That's interesting. On one side of the sword is the sun and the moon. On the other side of the sword is only one celestial body. Is that also an eclipse? I don't know. But it's interesting that it's two here and it's one here. And there was that, because of the eclipse and because of the temperance, there was the moon yellowing into a sun. But I think even before that, it was because of the two temperance cards. There's the temperance in the daytime and then the temperance at night. There it is. That like these two were merging. The sun and the moon were becoming like one influence. And that was also the death card, where it's like that line, that barrier, that boundary, that draws a distinction between the two is like fading or blurring. Interesting. Okay, it's Ronald card time. The rest is yours to do with as you see fit. But so now the one is like a singular integrated self. In the presence of the one, there is no shadow side. There's no light side. There's no inner child. There's no higher self. There's just the one. It's just us in our totality as we are. Very Queen of Wands energy. She's not depicted with her black cat here, but oftentimes she is. And somebody on the internet somewhere said that that's like symbolic of her owning her shadow self, basically, and like putting it out there on display, but like being proud of it, or not being like the Queen of Wands. Like, you're not going to be able to blackmail her with anything. Like, she has no shame in her game. You know what I mean? There's nothing that can be used against her to control her or to like influence her choice or decision either way. She's very like, well, you know, I made that choice and decision. I own up to it type of energy. I didn't watch Game of Thrones. I'm pretty sure the character wasn't the best, but like Cersei Lannister, was that her name? The one who did the like 10,000-mile walk of shame. And like everyone hated her, so they pelted her with like rotten fruits and vegetables. I don't even know if that part actually happened because I didn't watch Game of Thrones, but I was on the internet while Game of Thrones was a thing. So I saw memes and I saw clips and GIF sets. But yeah, that fume of smoke is interesting. I would almost not be tempted to say, but it's almost like there's a potential for it. Just like it feels like everyone sees something differently, because it's like what's happening inside the smoke versus what's happening outside of the smoke is two Like they're two different things, or they look that way because of how smoke obscures vision. And so, probably also definitely not a time to play comparison games with somebody else. Um, which is again maybe why the centaur came out rather than a different chariot energy where there are two different horses. This is the self with the self. King of Wands is also the ruler of wands in the Threads of Fate, that other deck that I no longer have because I gifted it. And that energy came out quite frequently recently. And it was that like having one's own ego under control. And, the Sovereign of Wands, the Queen of Wands, is just as able and capable, but her control typically manifests differently. Her self control typically manifests as more magnetic and attractive to those outside of her. So she attracts things. Being, magnetic and attractive as magnetic, attractive things do. Magnetize and attract, Sound about right? So what's the first thing Virgo season is bringing us? Distractions? Question mark. Opportunities. Trying to make sure I have all the cards. There may be some things that I did. Ooh, Ace of Pentacles. Maybe some things I didn't touch on completely, but that's fine. And the Hermit. Okay. All right. Five of Cups, put in the bed. Is that all the fives? Five of Swords, Five of Pentacles, Five of Wands, Five of Cups. Yep, seeing all of them besides the Hierophant. But we did see Temperance, which is Major Arcana 5. King of Pentacles was the card that shot out. And then this one just kind of fell. Ooh, the Ten of Cups. With the water damage. The deck got wet. And I was like drying the cards. And I think I was like wiping at first instead of just like dabbing them. And I wiped off the edge of the Ten of Cups. But it's like, the rest is unwritten, right? We get to add more whatever to the Ten of Cups. Also, there was a rainbow on Temperance behind the sun, or next to the sun. King of Coins and the Ten of Cups. This is almost like a little bit of Six of Wands at the bottom of the deck. This is almost a little bit of like put your money where your mouth is type of energy. But it's like, if there's something that you want or strongly desire, then like don't be afraid to invest in it, to put in the time, energy, and effort, or to do whatever we need to do to begin to make those things a reality. Very like, don't let your dreams just be dreams type energy. And maybe the Six of Wands is saying, do it, just do it. What's behind the Six of Wands? The High Priestess. Knight of Pentacles is behind her. And then the Moon is behind that. And then the Ace of Swords is behind that. Ace of Swords, the Moon, Knight of Pentacles, High Priestess, Six of Wands. The Knight of Pentacles and the Six of Wands are cornering the High Priestess. Interesting. That's almost an energy of like, it's almost like if there are things in our lives that we grow into, if we have to prove ourselves to be responsible before we can get a pet or whatever, it's like it's different when the parent knows that the child is responsible. And like that's what that energy is. Like High Priestess already knows that we're going to be victorious in something. And so it's almost like it presents the opportunity up front. Or it's like, when you're honest, or when there's an establishment of like honesty, and what's that one thing? What do they call it? It's not word of mouth, but it's like when you trust people to do the right thing. Um, it's like, if you take something, just leave the payment for it. What is it? There's like, it's a thing. Honor code? It's not honor code, but honor system. It's the honor system where you just like trust that people are going to do whatever. So you let whatever do whatever. It's kind of like that. There's that Empress again. Kalima. What does that mean? I don't know. And then there's Arachne, Six of Pentacles. Oh, I saw the Six of Pentacles earlier. Between the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles. But with that honor system, again, it's just like, it doesn't like, it feels proven. Maybe that was the Knight of Pentacles that was heading toward the High Priestess. It's like, because you've made the choices and decisions and navigated your life in the way that you've navigated your life, something can be given to you, or you can experience something early because like it's trusted that you're going to do the right thing with it, whatever that right thing is. So it's all like, it almost feels like a shortcut, but not, because you've already proven yourself trustworthy. You know what I mean? I guess it's like, if you go to work and you're like, hey, like I have something coming up, like, can I get an advance on my pay? And they're like, yeah, well, here's your pay for the next however long. We trust that you're going to do the work. So here, take it. Type of energy. Or like when you take vacation for hours that you haven't worked yet, but it's like, if you stay within that year, you'll have worked that time. So you get it up front. All right, Spencers. Ooh, lots of up and downers. I think 2 flipped over. We have Death and the 7 of Pentacles. Gremlins. Death to the Gremlins. Bottom of the deck is the Devil. Death, Gremlins, and the Devil. This is feeling like, especially with all the color similarities between the reds, I guess specifically like the reddish oranges and the yellows between the Gremlins and the Devil. I'm surprised the Imps didn't come out. But it's like, it's a lot of little things is how this is reading. Like, it's a lot of little things that add up to this Devil energy. And Death is like almost nip it in the bud type of energy. Stops it before it even becomes a problem. It deals with the gremlins so that there are no devils. Right? So that could be like a strength against temptation. Maybe, because I'm looking at the clock. I'm also looking at the boat. So this is very Charon. But it's like a times run out. The sand dial is empty. So maybe it was like, this could be like on Devil energy, like time is up, time is out. Like nobody's doing that anymore. It's almost like, it's like really, like it's 2023 now. Like we ain't been doing stuff like that since the Dark Ages, and they were called the Dark Ages for a reason. Like we know better now. I'm watching a show on Netflix, and there was somebody from the 1600s who comes to 2020, whatever, and they're expecting like the person who wronged them to be in a dungeon and all this stuff. And she was like, he was talking to a person from the modern age, and she's like, we don't even have the death penalty in this country. And he was like, what? She was like, yeah, because of human rights. He was like, who invented that? That's so dumb. But you should have seen all the number of times that he was trying to escape death. He was too good for the death penalty, but he wanted other dude to have it. Okay. But rights is dumb. Yeah, as long as you ain't the one that's being whatever anyway, it ain't even all that. Maybe it is some of that. Like all of these little things that work together to be something bigger. And so maybe this is also too, it's a reminder of like, if we want something bigger in our life to change or move or cease to be or to come into being, then we might have to, and Virgo will be good for it. There may be a lot of little things that we start to do to work together to make that happen, or some little things that we cease doing to, grind the gears to a halt and to stop that energy from moving forward. Right? Because if you don't feed it, it can't grow. Type of energy. So that's Virgo season, apparently, in a nutshell. I didn't even pull a Mausolea Oracle of Souls card. I'll do it real quick. I'll just pull one. I mean, I'm already 8:30. How did I go from 7 minutes over to half an hour? Maybe because I keep doing stuff like this. Oh, a little more, just like one card. I'll just pull one more. Just one more. Well, one more adds up, okay? And then you end up being here for 3 hours instead of the one that you planned on. And then you go to work and you're all tired and you're miserable. But it's your Friday anyway, so you got the next 4 days off. So did it really matter? Ask me later, I'll tell you. All right. I just want one of these because I was feeling it for some reason. Oh, the King of Pentacles was the final card from the Witch's Tarot, right? Or it was at like the bottom of the deck or something. Because I think was it Prophecy 1? It might have been Prophecy 1 that gave us the Page of Pentacles for last Virgo season. We had already hit the Knight of Pentacles before Virgo season even started. It's like we got the Knight of Pentacles early. The Knight of Pentacles is the one that was approaching the High Priestess. It's because we approach the High Priestess as the Knight of Pentacles that we fall under the honor system and we're recognized and we go somewhere with that Six of Wands earlier, quicker, sooner, whatever. But now that we're in Virgo season, it's like it's a King of Pentacles already. Something about the way that the last year has worked out and the way that we've navigated life in that time. And it ain't a rush. Knight of Pentacles is the slowest, steadiest one, but the only one that's guaranteed to finish. The others might. It depends. Okay. All right, Mausolea. I'll shop one like this now. Danu, Mother of Creation. How many times did we see Empress at the cuts? It was Kali Ma too. It was a Kali Ma Empress. Did I see the Empress in the Witch's Tarot? I don't remember. Danu, Mother of Creation. Motherhood, ferocity, and creation. Love that ferocity is in there. Because, mothers will conquer and do all kinds of stuff for their children. For the ones that they love. All right. Is there a table of contents? Probably not, because there are 5 different languages in this book. But they could still shoot. You could still give all the pages. But I guess where would it be? What language would the table of contents be in? Fine. Fair. We just got to look through all of these. Give me one moment. I'm going to read this and then I'm going to shut it down. Danu or Danu. We all about the new. You can keep the old. Danu, mother of creation. Danu is the mother goddess of creation in Anwin, and all of the fair folk are descended from her. She supports all creative pursuits and typifies the benevolent mother principle of fertility, wisdom, creativity, and abundance. However, that which creates a thing also protects it fiercely. Danu teaches of the double edged sword of creation and civilization. The benevolent mother that nurtures and guides with gentle wisdom, on the one hand, on the other, the ferocious beastem that will destroy all who threaten those she calls her children. That's interesting because it makes me think of smoke. And there was a question of like, is the smoke a hearth, home cooked, warm thing, or is it a symbol of destruction? Does it incite passion or panic? Also, it mentioned a double-edged sword, and the sword came out. Because it was because of the smoke that I went for the mirror. Because smoke and mirrors. Well, the mirror, I guess you can cut with glass too. The mirror was the sword and the riddle. What was the sword and the riddle? The chariot card in the wild, not the wild unknown, the chariot card and the vice versa. And in the Spirit Keeper's Tarot features sphinxes instead of horses. There might be another deck too that has sphinxes on the chariot. Now, when you put a sphinx on a chariot, it's like you don't even know what forces you're balancing. But the thing about the soul magic of the Queen of Wands is that you don't have to know. There's a whole lot of stuff that you don't necessarily have to worry about when you are following your intuition, guidance, discernment, wisdom, and doing what the divine, when you're acting in alignment with it. There's like a whole bunch of stuff you don't have to know, right? There are some things that you can find out, of course, as always. But when you in that flow state, you ain't necessarily got a no state. You in that, you going to get where you got to go state, regardless state. You know what I mean? So anyway, thank you, Eve, for stopping in. It was nice. It was lovely. I had a feeling I'd talk to you and only you today. I'll probably still go live on the other channel at some point, though, because I want to. Just to check in, just to see what's up. Thank you, other viewer, for also being here, and anyone else who popped in or anyone else who catches this later. I hope you're all having amazing whenever you see this. I hope that if you're not, you have a much better one soon. I hope that you are listening to your intuition, discernment, guidance, knowledge, anything. Well, knowledge less so, because knowledge can be fickle. Sometimes knowledge feels a lot more absolute. And wisdom feels a lot more situational, circumstantial, and relative. Because it is wise to do one thing in one situation that it would be very unwise to do in a different situation. Wisdom knows that most things are case by case and not one size fits all. That there is not one approach to remedy everything, unless that one approach is to probably use intuition, discernment, and wisdom. Then it's like, yeah. But then that plays on the in-tuneness and intuitiveness of intuition, the intuitiveness of intuition and discernment, because that's like it's tapping into abiding under knowledgeable is strong. It's connected to those forces of change that are the only constants, you know? And, you know, I guess the forces behind the forces of change to be like, whatever. Now I'm looking at the Quantum Tarot version 2.0, wanting to pull a card, and I'm already like 37 minutes past where I want it to be. So I will catch you later. Happy Virgo season. And the Page of Pentacles was coming out a lot for Mercury retrograde, and even before that. And the first time I saw it, it was in the Threads of Fate. And it was An application of wisdom will be key to experiencing new things on earth, or to moving and progressing further. It was the tooth that symbolizes wisdom, the coin with the key in it, and then the thread connected to the ball of earth. So there you go. I will catch you next time I catch you. Bye.